The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Srinath Sridhar. Srinath is the co-founder and CEO at Reggie AI. Srinath, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, John.
It's our pleasure. So, Srinath, let's start with yourself, please. Can you give us a bit of background of your journey in tech, from where you got started, some of the roles you've held along the way, and take us up to today as the founder and CEO at Reggie AI?
So I'm an engineer by training. I did a PhD in computer science from Carnegie Mellon. A while back, I had spent a little bit of time at Google working on search ranking. But after graduating, I went to Facebook as one of its first 100 engineers. Then I was a founding engineer of an AI marketing tech startup called Bloomreach. From scratch, we grew the company to Series A, B, and C. To about $500 million in valuation. It's still around, it's still private, and it got to about $2.5 billion in valuation recently. But after Bloomreach, I co-founded a company called Onera, which is in the AI supply chain space. Bain invested in both the companies, Bloomreach and Onera, for their Series A. Onera recently got acquired by XLKKR last month. I started Reggie after Onera. This was in end of 2020, but we really got going middle of 2021 when I actually met my co-founder, Matt. So that's my story. I've been in the Bay Area since 2007, huge fan of startups in general and AI specifically.
Well, thank you for that overview. I think it's also worth noting, I know you are modest in talking about your own background. You were an engineer at Google, and you were also one of the first 100 engineers at Facebook. So you've been operating at a very high level for a long time. But taking us up to today, you talked about founding and launching Reggie AI. So tell us all about Reggie, who you are as a business, what the mission of the organization is, and then we'll talk about the AI behind it all.
Reggie AI was founded December 2020, and the main piece of information based on which we started was GPT-3 that came out in June of 2020. So GPT-3 is a large language model that can generate sentences that's very human-like. Until then, AI could pretty much not piece together two sentences, and GPT-3 came along, and suddenly you can actually generate paragraphs that's coherent. And you could do it under instruction. You can ask these models to generate paragraphs of text in a certain way, and it could actually go in and do that. So I figured there must be some enterprise applications because it's such a disruption to the way things were getting done until then. On the backs of that, we raised $3 million from Foundation Capital. But it was only June of 2021 when I met my co-founder, Matt Millen, who had run Outreach's revenue from 5 to 50 million, that we actually decided to have a very sharp angle, which was to try to build sales campaigns for teams that are using Outreach and SalesLoft. So Outreach and SalesLoft are orchestration platforms that can generate sales campaigns on emails. And so we basically ended up generating email marketing content for them, completely AI generated. So that was our entry point and wedge. So we started there, and and since then, Reggie has grown to 70 customers, and I can tell you a lot more about it, but at least that's the genesis of how we came about.
Yeah, we definitely want you to tell us more about it. I would love to get some visibility on the journey from speaking to a customer, potential customer for the first time, and how you get them bought into this fully automated AI generated marketing outreach. What is it that you tell these customers that you've been able to successfully secure 70 plus and growing all the time? Because they've got to have confidence in the AI. So how do you walk them through that journey? And then give us some insight into what the end result has been like and why it's so successful.
Yeah, it's a great question, because I think right now the bar is very high because people are very skeptical of AI doing any writing because this is not something that people are used to. At best, AI has helped do autocompletes. That's pretty much state of the art. And we haven't really seen AI do something that's much more extensive than that. And so there's a lot of skepticism when we first introduce a platform that can actually write. And so the bar is very high to make sure that the quality of content is really good. Over time, people will get used to this new paradigm, just like anything else. But as of now, the bar is very high. So when we actually go in and talk to a customer, we first have to convince them that, hey, this is something that can actually help you and it's actually not going to hurt you. And you can actually write at scale using this tool. So that's the first hurdle to overcome, which is to reset expectations of what AI cannot do to, oh, wow, I didn't realize the tech was already here. I thought this was 10 years out. And so that's the first hurdle, which is once they see it and they have to they recognize that, okay, this is not what I thought this was going to look like, but this is pretty impressive. That's the first step of the way. And then the second step is, okay, now how can we actually help you to build a campaign using that? And our goal right now is to go just not just build a campaign, but go beyond that, which is to have a single content platform for your entire go-to-market team. So that's sales, marketing, SDRs, AEs, BDRs, and at some point, even customer success and account managers. How do you preserve your brand voice? How do you have a single pane of glass to look at all the content that you have? How can people share the content within the teams? How can you have processes to author the content so that other people can actually use the content? So it's a single platform for all things content, whether it's content creation or content storage and utilization off of it. So that's the whole platform that we're building out.
Focusing now on the team behind the scenes. Obviously, this is a great example of the use of AI through NLP and recommendation systems. How have you gone about taking it from concept to demo model to now fully working product with a large team? Walk us through that journey and give us some insight into what the current makeup of the team looks like.
Yeah. So in terms of the team, it's a mix of two different skill sets. One is on the engineering side, specifically on the AI side, and one is on the sales side. It's not a bunch of engineers building a sales product. It's also not a bunch of salespeople not engineering the product. It's truly a team that has both the sales hat and the engineering hat. Funnily enough, I was doing something very similar, but I was on the sales side. I've never sold a single thing in my life. And Matt, my co-founder, is much more experienced than me, and he was an engineer on his side, and he has not engineered a thing in his life. So when we actually came together, we said, okay, I don't have to sell anymore. And he was like, okay, I don't have to build anymore. So it was pretty good fit that way. And we went back to our same roles. And I brought in a great engineering team. These are people who went to top schools, multiple people with PhDs, multiple founders themselves. And then on the sales side, Matt brought people from outreach, so to do customer success and so on. So we've had a pretty good mix of both sales and engineering in the team.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
You've taken us up to today. I want to spend some time now talking about what's next. Obviously, the first few years of any startup are about just getting a foothold, getting a working product so that you can bring in customers and then implement from there. You've had a lot of success early on, attracting some really well-known marquee companies who are using Reggie on a daily basis. What does the next year to 2 years look like for Reggie? What are you trying to accomplish? What growth are you excited about? And with that, what opportunities are there going to be for people to come on board and join on the engineering and data science side?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So if we step back, so for the first set of customers, right, this is a lot of proof of concept. This is basically saying, hey, let's take the workflow of how you build a sales campaign on Outreach or SalesLoft, and let's try to see how AI can build that for you. And so that was the first step in that process. And I think that was our first product, but that was definitely just an entry point. Sure. So today we can help you build sales campaigns. So people come in and typically say, hey, we want to build 90 different sales campaigns this year. And obviously you can go outsource that to a marketing agency and they're going to charge you in the six figures, or instead you can actually have Reggie either work with you in your team or sometimes even work with the marketing agencies and cut the cost, but also have a platform where you can actually build these campaigns together. So that's the first step, but that's just the entry point. So we want to go way beyond just creating sales campaigns. So what's exciting and what's ahead of us right now is we want to bring Reggie to the entire go-to-market team. So not just building sales campaigns for SDR management, but we want to do all of content that, let's say, marketing and sales teams need or want to do. For example, if you're writing a blog post, we want Reggie to be helping you do that. Let's say you just wrote a blog post that's going to end up on your website. We want to make sure that we can help you with that workflow. Let's say that you actually write a blog post and use that blog post in a nurture campaign. We want to actually summarize the blog post so that you can put that on an email, link that blog post on that email, and then send that email through HubSpot as part of a nurture campaign. So we want to be able to enable you to do that. Let's say that you want to write social posts. Let's say you're a HR company and you care about DEI, you care about talent management, you care about pay equity. What are all the blogs people are writing? Can we bring that to you? Can you summarize it? Can you actually create marketing improved collateral that SDRs and AEs can actually use to post on LinkedIn and Twitter? We want to have Reggie help you build it. And not just all of that, we want all of the approved collateral to live inside Reggie so that marketing can build all of this collateral inside Reggie, and then SDRs and AEs can actually just consume content from that platform. So whether that's objection handling on emails for AEs, whether that is sending customer testimonials or case studies, we want all of that to live inside Reggie. So think of your entire content strategy for your go-to-market team. Now you actually have a platform where all of that content can live, both from a content creation side and a content management side. And the other leg that's obvious that's coming up, that's very exciting, is the content analysis part. So what resonated with the customers? How are customers engaging with the content that you're producing? Which personas engage with which types of content? And therefore, what should you do with that? Which blogs are actually working out for you? Which blogs are not working out for you? Which blogs are working out for your competitors and have not been working out for you? And therefore, what should you write? So all of that, closing the loop and bringing in all of that analysis on the content management side, as well as on the content creation side, is another big milestone. So we just want this to be an entire massive platform that the entire go-to-market team can rely on, and every single person in the go-to-market team can actually use and get value out of. So lots of stuff to do from a little start, which is to build a sales campaign. That's our little start, but if you fast forward 2 years, there's a lot of stuff that we can build.
Yeah, and look, the first 2 years of any startup are often referred to as the most challenging. You guys have got over the hump of taking something that's a concept to now getting it to a point where customers believe in it, are using it, and now it's just about the scale. Final question from me then, as an engineer yourself, and you've worked at some of the biggest and most well-known companies out there, what it means for engineers to want to work on interesting, meaningful projects. Speaking to an audience of AI practitioners, when you've been sitting down with engineers and data scientists and you've been telling them about the mission at Reggie AI, what is it that you tell them or you've told them that has got them excited enough to join Reggie over some of the other great opportunities out there available to them?
Yeah, great question. So we are redefining what it means to communicate, and we are redefining how people communicate. That's really the revolution that's going on. It's, let's say back in the day, you had humans looked at birds flying and then said, okay, can I build a machine that can help me fly? And our initial incarnations of that was like, okay, I'm going to just mimic a bird and try to see if I can fly. And that failed miserably. But then we have, I don't know, Boeing 777 today, which can go from London to New York in 6 hours, which a bird cannot. But that's redefining what it means to fly. And we will make great progress as we look at nature and try to imitate it. And then we'll realize what the boundaries are and how we can work together. So even though, we're not today flying around like birds, we're flying around with airplanes. And that's a pretty big paradigm shift, just 100 years back to not being able to fly to where we are today. The same thing is happening in AI, and specifically as it relates to communication and natural language generation, which is we couldn't do it before. And then we were looking at humans and training all these models and trying to see what we can do. What we're going to realize are the boundaries and what it means to redefine communication. So I'm not saying that we're going to go in and replace all the humans and we're going to just communicate from machine to machine, but at the same time, it's not going to look perfectly human. It's not going to look perfectly as machines did in the past, because we can fly now, as an example. And it's this new boundaries on what it means to communicate. And those new boundaries are all set by AI now. And we are all going to discover what those boundaries look like. And this field is changing so rapidly. GPT-3, you could not retrain the models until end of 2021. So you're looking at 6 months. That's it. 6 months back, all you had was black box models that GPT-3 put out. And now you can actually take those models and retrain it to do different tasks. And that's only 6 months in. DALL-E is going to come out, and it's already out. We have access, and lots of people have access to it. And you can generate mind-blowing images. DALL-E is not the only project that's doing this. There are lots of other startups now that's creating mind-blowing images. Already, we're starting to do videos. So this is a new frontier on how we're going to communicate. And as this AI advances, you want to be on that frontier to actually build new things. And so it's very exciting to be able to build new products that you could only dream of before. And all of that science fiction is going to come to reality over the next 2 to 3 years. And it's so very exciting to work on this.
Very exciting indeed. Srinath, I really appreciate you coming on today and talking to us. Great to learn about your background, the origin stories of Reggie AI, the early success you're having already, and finishing on that final piece, just how exciting this field could be over the next 2 to 3 years. It sounds like a great place to work. And yeah, we wish you, the team, and everyone at Reggie the best of luck in the months and years to come. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, John. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.